Welcome back, watch fans. We're talking about major big news in Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, and Black Swans. That's right, we're talking about a Black Swan coming at you. That's right, the Black Swan is coming at you, and it's called Iran. That's right, it's called Iran. You know what Iran is? That's right, it's Persia, which is very near. Persia, Iran is right adjacent to Chomostan, Kakistan, and Bukyakistan. That's right, unbelievable but true. Actually, no, it's not. It's actually near Chomostan and Bukyakistan. Kakistan is Canada, which is far away. Canada is Kakistan. But what's going on with Iran is they're having a bit of a revolution. I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you've Googled it, but this is actually, I think, the real deal. And how do I know it's the real deal? Is because the media, the mass media, okay, the mass media doesn't want you to know what's going on. They're not explaining what is really happening. Now, I'm a geopolitical expert. You know, on this channel, we have two things we have expertise in. Number one, bringing you watches that increase in value bigly, that triple in value in a year, 2 years, that double in value. We have people who have made billions of dollars. That's right, on this channel we help create billionaires. This is the billionaire making channel. So make sure you click the like, subscribe button. The other thing we're experts in on this channel is geopolitics. That's right, geopolitics. Yeah, by the way, our show sponsor is Qatar. The Qatar Sovereign Wealth Fund is one of our show sponsors. Alhamdulillah, I want to also thank the Altani, Emir Altani, a good friend, for sponsoring the channel. So now let's talk about Iran. So they're having a bit of a revolution. Now, I believe that this one is actually going to work. It looks to me like, and how is it going to affect, listen, forget about the people. Oh, who cares about the people? What matters is what is it going to mean for prices of Rolex and Patek and AP, right? That's what you want to know. You guys, you know. Anyway, so what does it mean? I think this is actually going to be a real revolution. I think we're at a tipping point. I would say we have listen, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. I think right now we are, and they've had this couple of these revolution things try, you know, in China, they also try to do the Tiananmen Square type of thing. They try to do the Tiananmen Square type of thing. Look, we bring you high production. Look at this. We bring you high, you know how hard it is to get dogs on film? This is very high production values. We got to get unions involved. We got to get the dog wranglers. I think they're called animal wranglers. There's a lot of very expensive stuff. These dog actors are not cheap. These dog actors are very, very expensive, okay? Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. He's getting that ball. Oh, what? Dropping the ball. This guy's dropping the ball. This guy's... Okay, anyway. Look, so what's going on is they're going to have a revolution. I think we got a 65% chance of changing government. The regime change, 65% of change. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to, if they get rid of the Ayatollahs, they're going to have a secular government. Okay, they're going to flip back to like a secular, you know, what Iran was basically in the 70s or whatever, right? So I think they're going to flip to a secular government, like a Shah. They have a what do you call it? A real affinity. They have a real affinity for the Shah and the nostalgia. They got the Shah nostalgia. The Iranians have Shah nostalgia. Now, what does that mean for watches? I'm going to get to the point. Be patient, okay? You got to be patient here, okay? Look, you got to be patient. So what we're going to do is, okay, these dogs are not that bright. Look at this. Okay, finally, figures it out. Guy figures it out. So, I think we got a 65% chance of overthrow of government, and we're going to have, I don't know if it's a democracy, who knows what, right? You know, we're not here to do regime, you know, what do you call it? Nation building. This is not a nation building channel. We're a wealth building channel in the world of Patek and AP and Rolex. So, back to what are we talking about, right? So, what happens the day after? Let's talk about the day after, right? So, look, the Iranians are going to overthrow the government. Very likely it's happening. It's going to happen. And you heard it here first. You Google it. This is the channel where we call it first. We called the revolution first. I think we've got a 65, maybe even 70% chance of overthrow in the next 30 days in the month of January. That's right, the month of January 2026, right in time for Nowruz. You know what Nowruz is? You Google it. You Google it. Now, okay, so what does this mean for prices of AP, Patek, and Rolex? So here's what's going to happen. You know, the Iranians are very pretty smart people. You know, the Iranians are basically Indians. Now, they don't want you to know that, but they're really Indians. I don't know what they're doing in the Middle East. You know, they're claiming that the Israelis don't belong there, but really they don't belong there. Well, I mean, they're Iranians. What are they doing in the middle of, you know, of the Middle East, right? No, actually, no. So basically, the Iranians are a type of, I don't know what they are. They're like a European Indian or something, Europeanized Indians or something. But here's the thing: the Iranians are very sophisticated, you know, very intelligent people, right? They got some. If you go to LA, right, you go to LA, there's a lot of Iranians. Also in New York, there's a lot of Iranians, right? By the way, a lot of them in the watch business. Okay, a lot of them in the watch business. A lot of them in the, well, kind of in the art antiques business or whatever, like 19th century crap, you know. So I you know, anyway, so I've dealt with a lot of these Koskeshes and Koskons, right? And also the Kunis. You know what the Kunis are? That's Juan and Kino. Juan and Kino are Kuni. You know what Kuni is? You Google Kuni. So anyway, so all I gotta say is, for one, you know, Sadesh Tuya Kunama, okay? Sadesh Tuya Kunama, one. Now, what are we talking about with Iran? So here's the thing. So the Iranians, you know, they had a pretty good thing going in the 70s. They really were a booming economy, and you know, the Shah of Iran was like a very I don't know, how would you describe it? A man of wealth and taste. I mean, obviously he had some cash, but he had very good taste. You know, I've mentioned before on this channel, we've reported on the Shah of Iran's watch collection, and the Iranians, or I think they like to call themselves Persians or whatever, they have a real nostalgia for the Shah. The Shah was the first man to buy the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and I think also the Nautilus. Okay, in the 70s, he was like the cool guy. He was like basically like the you know, the influencer. He actually was an influencer. By the way, the Shah of Iran, fascinating guy. You know, he also. So not only did he put the Nautilus and the Royal Oak on the map, also the Cobra, the AP Cobra, which is about a garbage watch. But listen, you know, we'll give him a pass. We'll give him a hood pass. We're going to give the Shah a hood pass on the Cobra. But he was also the guy that put the G Wagon on the map. That's right, Mercedes G Wagon, which is like the hottest car now. Can you imagine the G Wagon has become such a hot car in the last, you know, I don't know, what is it, 10 years? It's crazy. You know, I remember. I think I mentioned the story. You know, my first watch, my first Patek and Rolex came from a guy who basically was importing these G Wagons into the U.S. The Cabriolet G Wagon and the G Wagons in the late 90s, because Mercedes wasn't selling them here. I think at the time they were bringing them in. They were selling them for like $100 grand or something. Which was a lot of money back in the 90s. But anyway. But the G Wagon is very hot. But who made the G Wagon? The Shah of Iran. That's right. The Shah of Iran was he was the guy that ordered the G Wagon. It was supposed to be a military vehicle for the Iranian army. That's right. I think, from what I understand, is he owned part of Mercedes. I think he owned 25% of Mercedes. That's right. The Shah of Iran. By the way, big Shah pivot. I got a Shah pivot for you. So interestingly, an office building in Manhattan that I spent a lot of time and I have fond memories of was 650 Fifth Avenue. 650 Fifth Avenue, formerly known as the Piaget building. I don't know what they call it now. It was the Piaget building, and you know, I spent a lot of time in that building. And before me, that building was owned by the Iranian government. I think it still might be owned by the Iranian government. It was owned by the Pahlavi. It was owned by the Shah. Actually, so I don't know who owns it, but 650 Fifth Avenue, you Google it, was owned by the Shah. And now the Iranians own it. And who also was in 650 Fifth Avenue? Ivan F. Boesky. You know who Ivan F. Boesky is? You Google Ivan Boesky. Ivan Boesky had an office at 650 Fifth Avenue. And the Colonel had an office at 650. Well, I wasn't paying for it. I was basically, you know, kind of free riding. Kind of, you know. But anyway, back to what do you call it? The Shah. So the Piaget, what does the Shah have to do with Piaget? Piaget also was very hot in the 70s, okay? That's why the Shah had that building. That's why the Piaget was in that building. So the Iranians, here's what's going to happen. Again, I keep going off on tangents, but I'm going to get to the point in just a second, okay? The Shah was he had great sense of style, great taste. I think he also had a portrait done by Andy Warhol. That's right, you Google it. Andy Warhol, I think, did a portrait of the Shah and his wife. Look, the Iranians are really good business people. They love watches. The Iranians love Patek Philippe. They love Patek Philippe, okay? And especially when they make some money. They're also very kind of like, think of Indians, but more like a more sophisticated type of Indian, right? Like, so, when the Iranians make some money, they want to get a Patek, right? They don't want to just get a roll. They want to get a Patek and an AP. They want to get what do you call it? They are going to start buying Nautilus and Royal Oak, okay? And I believe they're going to go for the vintage. Why? Because the Shah had that. So I believe those jumbos, Royal Oak and Nautilus, I think we can see a big bump in those prices. Why? Because the Iranians, what's going to happen is this. So how do I connect the dots, right? So look, there's going to be an overthrow of the government. It's probably going to take maybe 6 months, a year, and all of a sudden, the economy is going to be booming because everybody's going to be making a lot of money, right? Because they're very good business people, they're going to be hustling and grifting, and people are going to make money. What's the first thing? What is the first thing that an Iranian buys when he makes money? The first thing he buys is something that, what they're going to buy is something that connects to the Shah. I'm talking about like a guy who makes real money, like not a guy who's like a hubcap thief. No, a guy who's like, makes a nice score. He's going to buy like some Koskesh. He's going to buy a Royal Oak or Nautilus, vintage. Why? So he can brag to his Koskesh friends, hey, look, I got the same watch as the Shah of Iran. Again, the Iranians look up to the Shah as kind of like the English looked up to the royals back in the day. Now, the royals really are a bunch of bukyaks, okay? Sorry to say it, but they're really just a bunch of, just tomato cans, okay? But back in the day, they were very well respected in terms of like, this is what everybody looked up to in the world, right? But then you had the redheaded bastard, you had a whole bunch of disasters in the royal family for a number of reasons. I think there's a curse on the royal family, and anyway, it is what it is. The bottom line is the Iranians. Okay, let me get to the bottom line here because we're 13 minutes in, and we want to get to the point. The point is vintage Nautilus, vintage Royal Oak is going to deliver alpha in the next 2 years. Why? The Iranian influence. That's right, the Iranian influence. Here's the thing you got to realize. Also Piaget. By the way, Piaget. Why Piaget? Because it's one of those 70s brands. I think the Shah did something, but also that building, the Piaget building, 650 Fifth Avenue, which was owned by the Shah and is the Piaget building. They like all that stuff, okay? So the bottom line is they're going to start buying vintage stuff, okay? We're looking for vintage AP, Patek is going to be booming. Also, possibly some Rolex day dates. Look, anything to do with the Shah is going to be up bigly, okay? So there's a Rolex day date that was ordered by the Shah, okay? He ordered like a whole bunch of these day dates. We did a report on this, his watch collection. And they were very cool watches. I mean, he had really good taste. This guy really did. Unlike all these other bukyaks in the region, he had really good taste. And except for Emir Altani, who's our sponsor, he is the best. He's got the best taste. Actually, I have to say, Emir Altani, okay, who I think we share a similar tailor. I think yeah, I think he's had some stuff made by Henry. No, I don't know. I told you it was. When I was at Henry Poole, it was a whole rack of morning suits with Altani labels on them. So I think, he's done. But I think I've seen pictures of him. He's got these very sharp suits. That's not the Henry Poole cut. It's more of like, I don't know who makes it. I think it could be like, I think it could be, it's some sort of like, it could be an Italian, Gaetano Alosio, possibly Gaetano Alosio, who's a great tailor, by the way. Gaetano Alosio of Roma, Gaetano Alosio. You Google Gaetano Alosio, who's, I think the Altanis. Somebody can do some research. I think Altani probably gets the suits made by Gaetano Alosio. Anyway, and the Colonel actually has a suede jacket from Gaetano Alosio, made su misura, not bespoke, but su misura. And they made the sleeve. The sleeves came out a little short. You know. But what do you expect from the Italians? They always manage to screw something up, you know. Anyway, and then they make excuses about it. You know, whatever. It is what it is. You know, look, I'm not the Emir Altani, so you know it's difficult. Anyway, look, here, let me get to the bottom line. The bottom line is everything to do with the Shah is going to go bigly, because in the next 2 years, the Iranian economy is going to boom post this government overthrow. Post government overthrow, it's going to boom. And the first thing that the Iranians will do is they will buy watches, okay? They're going to buy watches bigly. You understand what I'm saying? They love Rolex, Patek, AP. You know, by the way, I'm going to end on a note. I'm going to end on a note. A number of years ago, I was in Beverly Hills. I was looking to lease office space. And the gentleman who showed me the space was, of course, you know, who owns all the real estate in Beverly Hills. You Google it, okay? So this guy's, this Kostesh, shows me the place, and it was near Beverly, you know, Beverly Drive. It was a Beverly Drive or Beverly, I always get it mixed up. Beverly Drive, I think it is, right? Beverly Drive, South Beverly Drive. He showed me the thing, and I noticed, oh, this guy's wearing a Patek. Now, this is like, when was this? This was like, must have been 2011 or 2012. And I see he's wearing a Patek. I forgot what it was, because at that time I wasn't really into watches, but I made a comment. They said, oh, that's a nice watch. Can I see? You know, I looked at the watch. I forgot what it was. I think it had some complication. I think it may have had like a, I think it had moved. I'm not sure what it was. It was like a mid-range watch. It wasn't like a perpetual or anything. It was like a mid-range. And he said something interesting to me. He said, listen, there's two things you never sell. You never sell Beverly Hills real estate, and you never sell Patek Philippe. Two things. But, well, in his, you know, it turns out his family, like, you know, they've owned, you know, he's like the I don't know if he's the son or the grandson of the, he's like, you know, that space has been in the family since the 70s, you know, since the Iranians came to LA in the 70s. So anyways, bottom line is, you know, you hold on to it, right? And Patek Philippe. Now, do I agree with that statement that you never sell Patek Philippe? I'm gonna maybe use that line from that thing. What is that line that you never really own a Patek Philippe? You merely hold it for the next generation. I would say, look, you never really sell a Patek Philippe. You merely, I don't know. Well, come on, you guys, you figure something out. We need to figure out a good Patek line. Unbelievable but true. We got dogs, a lot of dog action. You know who likes dogs? Uncle Chomo, aka Curly. That guy has had intimate relations with dogs. That's right. You Google it. There's, you know, that's what goes on some of these watch channels. On some of these watch channels, you have no idea what goes on. Anyway, look. Bottom line is, there's going to be huge, big things happening in the world of Patek, vintage Patek, AP, and Rolex. You heard it here first. Send money now.